Well, which leads me nicely to a next question. I want to go down the line in reverse order and hear from everyone very briefly, please, 15 seconds or so. Who in this country is paying more than a fair share of taxes relative to everyone else? The wealthy, the middle class, the poor, or corporations? Starting with Mr. Keyes.
It's one of those let's you and him fight questions that people in the media always want to get us involved in, because they would like to pretend that the tax question is about fighting amongst ourselves, when the real sacrifice that's required from the American people, we need to start sacrificing some of these incumbents who have funded their political ambition using our money,
Remember,
who have spent overboard into deficits after promising us on the Republican side that they would limit the government and then produce the highest budget deficits in the history of our country.
Senator
I think we
McCain?
need to stop listening to these phonies and start looking for people who will actually fulfill the words that they
Senator
speak.
McCain?
That's what I think.
I know that I'm happy to say low-income Americans, except for payroll taxes, don't pay taxes. But we got to reform the tax code. Nobody understands it. Nobody trusts it. Nobody believes in it. And we have to fix it. And we can't raise taxes as our Democrat friends want. So I don't know exactly who's paying the most of the burden, but I would say that the American people need a tax code they can understand and that they know is fair.
Governor Huckabee.
Over 80% of the American people know that the tax code is irreparably broken. I would lead one to a fair tax, and that means that the rich people aren't going to be made poor, but maybe the poor people could be made rich. That ought to be the goal of any tax system, not to punish somebody, but to enable somebody so that they can have a part of the American dream. The fair tax does just that.
Governor Romney.
I don't stay awake at night worrying about the taxes that rich people are paying, to tell you the truth. I'm concerned about the taxes that middle-class families are paying. They're under a lot of pressure. Gasoline's expensive. Home heating oil, particularly in the Northeast, is very difficult for folks. Health care costs are going through the roof. Education costs in higher education are overwhelming. And as a result, we need to reduce the burden on middle-income families in this country.
Okay, a little snappier, gentlemen. Senator Thompson?
Well, my goal is to get into Mitt Romney's situation where I don't have to worry about taxes anymore. 5%.
Trying to get into your situation.
5%. Well, you know, you're getting to be a pretty good actor, actually. 5% of Americans pay over half the income taxes in this country. 40% of Americans pay no income taxes at all. I think we need to concentrate on preserving the tax cuts of 01 and 03. That's going to be a monumental battle that's going to be coming at the end of 2010.
Congressman?
Everyone that is presently paying tax, you can make a case that they're paying too much. The reality is, of course, you need a different system entirely. We do need to move away from this archaic, a system that taxes productivity, which is what we do, to a system that allows for a fair tax. I believe in that.
Congressman?
The most sinister of all taxes is the inflation tax, and it is the most regressive. It hits the poor and the middle class. When you destroy a currency by creating money out of thin air to pay the bills, the value of the dollar goes down and people get hit with a higher cost of living. It's the middle class that's being wiped out. It is the most evil of all taxes.
The tax that we're all paying that doesn't help anything, it doesn't go to defense, it doesn't go to roads, it doesn't go to medical care, is the $250 billion plus that we pay each year, not to the federal government, to the Treasury, but to prepare our taxes, defend our taxes, and for the massive cost of the IRS. That's all overhead, $250 billion plus dollars. What we ought to do is have a system. The fair tax system is a good one, or a flatter tax or a simpler tax, because that young couple that pays $1,450 in taxes may pay $450 to their tax preparer. That's a second tax.
A flatter tax, a simpler tax that you could file on one page as an option would be a good idea. Reducing the corporate tax, as I suggested, reducing income tax rates across the board, which would mostly benefit the middle class. That's where the focus should be. But we've got to reduce taxes across the board, and we should give the death penalty to the death tax. It really is a very unfair tax.
Thank you. Periodically throughout the debate, we'll give each of the candidates 30 seconds to make a free statement. The candidates drew for the order. We'll hear from the first two candidates now. Senator McCain, followed by Congressman Hunter.
Thank you. I've devoted my life in uniform and in public office to keeping this nation safe. I've been involved in every major national security issue of our time. That kind of experience is what's given me judgment. the judgment to oppose a failed strategy in Iraq, a judgment to call for the strategy that's succeeding now. And I wasn't very popular because of it. I have the judgment and the experience, and I believe that I can ask every American to serve. I have one guiding principle, one ambition, and that is to keep America safe and to achieve and maintain our greatness.
Congressman Hunter?
You know, I stand for a strong national defense, enforceable borders, and bringing back high-paying manufacturing jobs to this country that we pushed offshore with bad trade deals. I've been a member of the Armed Services Committee for 26 years now, and I've chaired that committee for 4 years, and I'm one of the few guys up here who's worn the uniform of the United States, and my own son has done now 3 tours in the Middle East, coming back on Thanksgiving. I know what it takes to secure this country. And I also built that border fence in San Diego that works so well, and I wrote the law that takes it across Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And as president, I will finish that border fence in 6 months.
Thank you. I want to come back to some issues that affect the economy. You'll have 30 seconds again. The longer you go on, the shorter we'll have to go. 30 seconds to answer these questions, and we're going to start with Congressman Paul. 1 in 5 jobs in Iowa depends on exports to foreign countries. But we're also exporting a lot of high-wage manufacturing jobs. What's your plan for keeping foreign markets open while protecting good-paying American jobs?
Well, we need to adopt free trade agreements with other countries. Today, we inhibit the export of, say, farm products to countries like Cuba. It's time we change our attitude about Cuba. We should be looking to open these markets. But our markets get closed for monetary reasons because our chief export is our dollar, because we have the reserve currency of the world. People take these dollars and our jobs go overseas. You can't solve any of these problems if you don't look at the monetary system and how it contributes to these job losses in order to provide the prosperity for our people here at home.
Governor Romney, would you answer that?
Yeah, I've spent the last, as I told you, 25 years in the private sector. I understand why jobs come and why jobs go. I've done business in over 20 countries around the world. And I understand how we can build more strength in our own economy, and that's by investing in education, investing in technology and innovation, getting ourselves off of foreign oil, and making sure that the playing field we play on around the world is level. It's not right now. We're going to have to renegotiate deals with people like those in China that manipulate their currency to put their products at an advantage over ours. But we want to make sure that we do not have a circumstance where people close down their markets to our goods, because we can compete anywhere in the world. 1 out of 3 agricultural acres is planted to go offshore. So don't put up barriers that keep us from being able to trade. America can compete anywhere in the world, and to remain a superpower, we must compete around the world.
Governor Huckabee?
Well, job migration is a result of 3 things. When you have excessive taxation that penalizes the productivity of a company, you add to that excessive regulation, which means that you've got more red tape than is possible to get through. And I would say that as president, one of my goals would be I can't part the Red Sea, but I believe I can part the red tape. And the third thing is we've got too much litigation. When a company goes into business, particularly small business, from which 80% of all American jobs come, most small business people can't fight off the potential liabilities that they come from all of the lawsuits and litigation. Take care of those 3 things, we won't see the incredible level of job migration that we see today.
Thank you. Some of our big trading partners commit human rights violations. Considering that poverty and abuse are often blamed for fostering terrorism, should we alter trade policies with those countries? Senator McCain?
Well, obviously, we should make sure that every nation respects human rights, and we should advocate that and try to enforce it. But I will open every market in the world to Iowa's agricultural products. I'm the biggest free marketer and free trader that you will ever see. And I will also eliminate subsidies on ethanol and other agricultural products. They are an impediment to competition, they're an impediment to free markets, and I believe that subsidies are a mistake, and I don't believe that anybody can stand here and say that they're fiscal conservative and yet support subsidies which distort markets and destroy our ability to compete in the world and destroy our ability to get cheaper products into the United States of America.
I'm going to move to the next question. What specific changes should be made in NAFTA? Mayor Giuliani?
I think the main thing is it should be